The sequel to Matt Reeves' The Batman is looking to become a highly anticipated movie, and while we have literally nothing on the plot yet, that hasn't stopped people from coming up with their own ideas, but that's mainly because Reeves crafted a fantastic movie, and Batman as a character is really fascinating. And yes, there are loads of ideas for a sequel, and a lot of ways a sequel for the Batman could go with the amount of villains that the titular character has in his rogues gallery. Here's my pitch for a sequel to Matt Reeves' movie. So before I actually pitch the sequel, I just want to go over a few things first. So first off, I'm going to take a page from the Planet of the Apes movies and use the title idea for that, wherein there's a prefix in front of the actual title. So for the sequel, I'm calling it Fear of the Batman. And that's right, we're doing Scarecrow, and there is another villain who I'll get to. So here's a logo, a fan-made poster, let's get to the story. So, it's been roughly 6 months since the events of the first movie, and we see how Bruce has evolved as the Batman. He's been upgrading his tech and his armour, now going for more of a sleek, tactical look. Essentially, we'd be evoking a mix of the Arkham Origins suit and the Telltale Season 1 suit here. But moving on, Gotham has somewhat recovered from the floods, but areas of the city are still flooded a little. And one thing I want to establish with this movie is adaptation, how people adjust to a completely new environment, which is what we're going to do with Bruce in the story. But before we get to that, it's important that we discuss the villains of this movie. Scarecrow is one of the most dangerous members of Batman's rogues gallery. His studying of fear and the creation of his fear toxin means he could literally drive any person to literal insanity. Crane has been hiding in the shadows for months now and has been experimenting with bat DNA. He forces his colleague Dr. Kirk Langstrom into a series of tests that horribly mutates him into a creature, the Man-Bat. That's right, I'm including Man-Bat in this sequel. Now, we've seen various iterations of the Man-Bat character in recent years through animation and video games, but we are yet to actually see this foe get the live-action treatment. Scarecrow's goal is to make the entire city fear Batman, and he is fairly close to achieving that as well. Okay, so moving back to Bruce, the emergence of Man-Bat and Gotham still being partially flooded has forced Bruce to take to the skies and hunt this new monster, and with Alfred's help constructs a new prototype stealth jet which he takes to calling the Batwing, and alongside that upgrades the gliding tech from the first movie into his cage so he can now glide across the rooftops. What we're trying to do here is put Bruce in a new environment where he's actually forced to adapt as the Man-Bat starts killing a lot of people, which is also part of Scarecrow's plan. As a result of watching in the shadows, Crane has seen that Batman has brought hope to the people of Gotham, and that's what he really wants to take away. Okay, now that we've got the basic story down, let's move on to the cast. So we're keeping characters like Bruce, Alfred, Gordon and Bella Royale, but we're going to be including a few more characters from the comics. First up is Lucius Fox, who I've always been a big fan of. Now, Lucius in my sequel idea plays an integral part, as he's the one to help Bruce with taking to the skies and helping him with the Batwing. Alfred does help as well, but it's mainly Lucius's idea in the first place. Now, in terms of casting for Lucius, there are several avenues we could go down, but I'm going for something more akin to Lucius's appearance in the Arkham Knight game, that being portrayed by a slightly older actor. So for Lucius Fox, I've landed on the man himself, Giancarlo Esposito. Now, Giancarlo for me is a brilliant actor. With roles like Gus Fring and Moff Gideon under his belt, I consider it a huge missed opportunity, and very much criminal, that he hasn't gotten a role in a superhero film yet. So moving on to the Rogues Gallery, and there is one returning face here, the Penguin, and he doesn't play a huge role as he's part of the opening sequence that establishes a time jump from the first movie. Now, we don't know when the Penguin spin-off is releasing, so I'm going to assume for the sake of this video that a sequel to The Batman will release shortly after the Penguin spin-off, or vice versa. Moving on, I want to further expand this world that Reeves has been building, so I'm adding in Roman Solanus, aka the Black Mask. And my original idea was to include Ewan McGregor since he didn't really get a chance to make the role his own. I've instead decided to cast an actor who I feel could make the role his own and somewhat reinvent the character in a way. So I've cast Ben Barnes as Roman Tyrannus. You might know him for his role as, I can't remember the name of the character, but he was the villain for the 2 seasons of The Punisher. But Roman is relatively new to the underworld, hence why I've casted a younger name in the role. Right, now we move on to the big players, Scarecrow and Man-Bat. What actors have I cast in these critical roles to the story? Now, after seeing this idea float around for a while, I've actually loved the idea of Stranger Things actor Jamie Campbell Bower being cast as Jonathan Crane. To me, this guy just fits the role perfectly for the Reeves take on this universe. And casting Man-Bat is going to be tricky because I imagine him being mostly CGI because, just look at him. But when he's in human form, we need an actor who can somewhat nail the mad scientist vibe, which is why I've cast someone that not many of you might know, Alec Newman. For those who don't know, Newman is an actor here in the UK who the Waterloo Road fans may recognise, but he's also played one of the maddest of scientists in Victor Frankenstein, which is why I wanted to cast him anyway. And that very much concludes this video. If you enjoyed this and would perhaps like to see more movie pictures in this style, then let me know because I'd love to do more. Thanks for watching and I will hopefully see you all soon.